Saudi Crown Prince rushes to Trump for urgent help after Houthi drones allegedly strike Riyadh's critical oil sites. The United States and Saudi Arabia appear to have joined forces to strike this Arab nation despite the pause in the Iran war. Iran sharply lashes out at Trump and Netanyahu, accusing them of deliberately escalating the conflict further. Joint US-Saudi strikes on Iraq send shockwaves across the Gulf as the Middle East conflict threatens to expand even further. A fresh conflict now appears to be looming in the Middle East, this time involving Iran-backed Iraqi militias and Saudi Arabia. On July 29, Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi abruptly called off his planned meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Ali al-Zaidi was originally scheduled to hold high-level talks with Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah on July 29. The Iraqi Prime Minister also ordered an emergency meeting of the National Security Council shortly after snubbing MBS. The diplomatic fallout came after the United States and Saudi Arabia jointly carried out overnight strikes against Iran-backed Iraqi militias on July 28. The coordinated US-Saudi operation specifically targeted members of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces during the overnight assault. Several PMF fighters were reportedly killed as the strikes hit multiple militia bases across different parts of Iraq. US and Saudi fighter jets bombed several logistics hubs and weapons storage facilities across eastern Iraq during the coordinated operation. On July 28, US CENTCOM officially confirmed that the precision strikes inside Iraq were conducted alongside Saudi Arabian forces. CENTCOM stated that the attacks specifically targeted Iran-aligned terrorists operating from bases inside Iraqi territory. The United States further claimed the strikes were launched in direct response to Iran's recently foiled drone attacks. CENTCOM said, and I quote, U.S. Central Command and the Saudi Arabian Armed Forces conducted precision strikes in Iraq, July 28, against Iran-aligned terrorists that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) directed to attack U.S. forces and Saudi energy infrastructure. U.S. and Saudi fighter aircraft struck multiple terrorist logistics and weapons sites across eastern Iraq in a strong response to over 30 IRGC-directed aerial drone attacks in the last 72 hours. The unwarranted attacks against U.S. forces were not successful. From February through April 2026, there were more than 600 attempted attacks on U.S. citizens and facilities by Iran-aligned terrorist militias in Iraq. The IRGC and its terrorist proxies must cease these attacks to avoid further U.S. military response. End quote. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry strongly condemned the joint U.S. and Saudi military strikes carried out inside Iraq. Tehran described the coordinated attacks as a direct assault on Iraq's sovereignty and accused Washington of widening the regional conflict. Iran also alleged that American and Saudi forces struck religious sites used by Armenian pilgrims during the military operation. The latest strikes came shortly after Riyadh blamed Iraqi armed groups for recent attacks targeting the kingdom's strategic oil facilities. On July 27, Houthi rebels launched a fresh barrage of drones, escalating their aerial campaign against key targets inside Saudi Arabia. Riyadh claimed its air defense system successfully intercepted and destroyed the incoming Houthi drones before they could inflict any damage. Saudi Arabia further alleged the Houthi drones were aimed at the kingdom's critical oil infrastructure as well as the capital, Riyadh. Riyadh lashed out, accusing Iranian-backed terrorist militias operating from Iraq of joining the conflict alongside the Houthis. The statement by Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Defense said, and I quote, "The official spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense, Major General Turki al-Maliki, stated that air defenses intercepted and destroyed a number of drones during the past hours that attempted to target petroleum facilities in the eastern region and Riyadh." Major General al-Maliki clarified that these terrorist attempts were launched from Iraqi territory and carried out by Iranian-backed terrorist militias, affirming the kingdom's legitimate right to defend itself and its capabilities, and its retention of the right to respond at the appropriate time and place. End quote. Meanwhile, Houthi rebels continue focusing their campaign on Saudi Arabia's prized oil infrastructure, keeping the kingdom's energy lifeline under constant threat. On July 27, the Houthis claimed they struck oil facilities connecting eastern Saudi Arabia with the strategic Red Sea port city of Yanbu. Houthi spokesperson Yahya Saree alleged the operation was carried out in retaliation for repeated Saudi drone incursions into Yemeni airspace. Houthi spokesperson said, and I quote, "By the grace of God, A number of targets and sensitive points in the supply and transport of crude oil from eastern Saudi Arabia to Yanbu were struck using several drones, in response to the Saudi enemy's drones breaching Yemeni airspace. End quote. On July 26, the Houthis released dramatic footage claiming to show the wreckage of a Saudi Arabian drone they had successfully brought down. Houthis claimed they shot down a Saudi-operated Bayraktar Akinci combat drone, according to Iran state broadcaster IRIB. The group said the Turkish-made combat drone was flying an operational mission over northern Yemen at the time of the incident. The Yemen-based group claimed the unmanned aircraft was carrying out what it described as hostile military activities. According to the Houthis, the drone was brought down while operating over Yemen's Al-Jawf province. The group identified the aircraft as a Bayraktar Akinci, one of Turkey's most advanced long-endurance combat drones. Yemen's armed forces released footage that they said showed the drone bursting into flames before crashing to the ground. The claim came after Saudi airstrikes targeted Sana'a International Airport earlier this month amid renewed hostilities. Yemeni forces later responded by launching ballistic missile and drone strikes against Saudi Arabia's Obo International Airport. Gulf nations have come out strongly against the Houthi campaign, warning that the conflict risks destabilizing the wider region. US ally Jordan strongly condemned the drone attacks launched toward Riyadh from Iraqi territory, calling them a dangerous escalation. Jordan threw its full weight behind Saudi Arabia, denouncing the Houthi strikes targeting the kingdom's vital oil infrastructure. Qatar also condemned the Houthi drone attacks, describing the strikes on Saudi Arabia's oil facilities as deeply alarming. Qatar's foreign ministry said the attacks amounted to a flagrant violation of Saudi Arabia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Doha further described the strikes as a direct threat to Saudi Arabia's security, stability, and the safety of its territory. Qatar went even further, calling the attacks a clear breach of international law, the UN Charter and principles of good neighborly relations.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.